The sun cast a golden hue over the meticulously trimmed lawns of Willow Heights, a gated community where conformity was enforced like scripture. Jason Reyes stepped out of his black SUV, stretching after the long drive from D.C. behind him. His wife Alina adjusted her sunglasses and gave a low whistle. Their teenage twins, Nico and Eva, remained buried in their devices, indifferent to the pristine symmetry of their new neighborhood. It was exactly the sort of place the government liked for deep cover assignments: bland, controlled, quiet. Perfect for hiding in plain sight. It took less than a day for Karen Bloomfield, president of the HOA and self-proclaimed enforcer of suburban decency, to make contact. She wore a sun hat the size of a satellite dish and carried a clipboard like it was an extension of her spine. Jason was in the middle of unloading gardening tools, standard issue with their cover. When she approached Mr. Reyes, she began scrutinizing the family nameplate near the mailbox. "We have very strict aesthetic codes here in Willow Heights. Your fence, while charming in a rustic way, is not approved paint code number 231B. I'll need you to correct that by Thursday. Also, we don't allow plastic flower beds, only ceramic." Jason nodded politely. "Thanks for the info. We'll look into it." That wasn't good enough for Karen. By Saturday, a fine notice was tucked into their doorframe. 2 violations. $150 each. Jason read it while sipping coffee on his porch. He chuckled. Alina rolled her eyes. The kids didn't even notice. They ignored it. Naturally, Karen escalated. The next day, an official-looking letter arrived, demanding immediate compliance. Karen stood in her driveway across the street like a sentry, arms folded, watching for any reaction. Jason simply waved at her with his mug and went back inside. Karen fumed. Who did they think they were? Everyone else obeyed the rules. Everyone else respected the HOA, but the Reyes family. They acted like the law didn't apply to them. She made a mental note to inspect their backyard later, probably harboring more violations. She finally snapped on Monday morning when she saw the twins playing with a drone. It wasn't just a drone, it looked military-grade, sleek and silent, hovering with precision. Karen stormed outside in her robe and took photos with her phone. Then she called the police. "There's something off about them," she hissed into the phone. "They're not normal. There's equipment in their garage I don't recognize. Military, maybe even illegal. Their kids fly surveillance drones over rooftops, and they've ignored multiple citations." She insisted it was a matter of neighborhood safety. She didn't mention her vendetta, nor her paranoia that the Reyes family had laughed at her during last week's HOA meeting. The dispatcher promised to send officers within the hour. By the time 2 cruisers rolled into the neighborhood, Karen was waiting in her driveway, practically vibrating with vindication. She watched eagerly as the cops knocked on the Reyes' front door. Jason answered, calm and casual, and after a brief exchange, something strange happened. One officer's posture straightened. The other tilted his head as if receiving silent instructions. Jason showed them something. Not a driver's license. Something else. Metallic, dark blue, with a glowing insignia no civilian would recognize. The officers nodded. Then they got back in their cruisers and left. Just like that, Karen stood there, stunned. No citation issued, no questions asked, no arrests. She was fuming again, not even more convinced. Something about the Reyes family was very wrong. She was going to prove it. 1 fine, 1 complaint, and 1 call at a time, the morning after. The police left without incident. Karen paced her kitchen in a storm of fury and confusion. Her cappuccino sat untouched, growing cold on the granite counter. Her fingers drummed against her phone case, replaying the footage she secretly recorded from her window. Jason Reyes had shown the cops something, some kind of badge or card. She'd zoomed in on the still frame, but the image was blurry. It didn't look like any ID she recognized. It wasn't a police badge, not military either. It was different, sleek, futuristic. What kind of family moves in without attending a single HOA meeting, ignores 4 separate fines, and gets away with flashing mystery credentials at the police? Karen was many things a perfectionist, a rule enforcer, a local gossip queen, but she wasn't blind. Something was going on, and her instincts told her it was bigger than fence paint and garden decor. Meanwhile, inside the Reyes house, Jason was already 3 steps ahead. He sat at the breakfast table, scanning an encrypted tablet, the surface shimmering with alien script that translated in real time to English. Across from him, Alina reviewed satellite telemetry on her contact lenses, invisible to the naked eye but streaming live data directly into her vision. Their cover wasn't just being tested, it had been pierced. "She's persistent," Alina said, sipping tea. "We underestimated her." Jason sighed. Karen Bloomfield, retired paralegal, 2 kids, divorced. HOA president for 6 years, medal-winning neighborhood snitch. Too much attention. "We'll have to reconfigure the transmitter diagnostics tonight and scan her devices." Jason nodded. Already queued. Eva and Nico are running a passive trace on her smart appliances. In the garage, the kids were hard at work. What looked like a normal set of gardening shelves was actually a disguised console array, their operational hub. Eva was coding a feedback loop into Karen's doorbell camera, redirecting all data feeds to a proxy. Nico ran a thermal scan of her house, just in case she was hiding more than suspicions. "She's clean," Nico muttered. "But she's nosy. Her phone tried to connect to our garage twice last night. Push her offline," Eva said. "Spoof her Wi-Fi, feed her bad GPS, mess with her weather app." The twins high-fived without looking up. Outside, Karen stood at her living room window, peering through the blinds, watching the Reyes house like it might grow tentacles. She was done playing games. If local police wouldn't take action, she'd escalate. She made another call, this time to someone she knew from her old firm, someone who owed her a favor in the city records department. "I want everything on 1437 Delaney Drive," she whispered. "Building permits, occupancy records, real estate transactions, everything." She launched her civilian investigation. Something stirred beneath Willow Heights, something ancient, deep below the HOA clubhouse, where no homeowner had ever set foot. A buried alien relay pulsed once, sending a faint signal that only a few beings on Earth could detect. Jason felt it instantly, a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a hum in the static. He stood still, eyes narrowing. "It activated," he said quietly. Alina froze mid-step. "It's too early. The timeline's off." "It's her," Jason growled. Karen Mustov tripped the sublayer defense grid when she snooped our utilities. She accessed something she wasn't supposed to. Now, they were in a new phase. What began as a covert surveillance mission had just escalated. The Reyes family weren't just undercover federal agents. They were guardians of a dormant alien artifact embedded beneath the community, part of a containment program dating back 70 years. Their job had been to watch, monitor, and keep it silent. But the silence was broken, and Karen. She was about to find herself in a world far stranger than she ever imagined. Karen's obsession had reached a new level. It was no longer about enforcing HOA regulations or punishing rule breakers. It was about truth, or at least the version she believed she was uncovering. Every bone in her body told her the Reyes family was not who they claimed to be. Instincts once used to expose shady firms in her paralegal days screamed louder with each passing hour. She wasn't just being ignored, she was being handled, and that terrified her. By Thursday morning, she had set up a makeshift surveillance hub in her attic. Her husband had left her years ago because of what he called her crusades, but she'd never needed him. Not then, not now. With 3 security cameras hidden in birdhouses, motion sensors near the Reyes mailbox, and a parabolic mic aimed at their backyard, she watched them obsessively. But the data didn't add up. She captured moments that defied explanation. Garage lights that blinked in irregular pulses. An odd shimmer that passed over Jason's body when he came out late at night. Once, she swore she saw their dog disappear. Literally vanish only to reappear a second later on the other side of the lawn. Her camera glitched every time it tried to replay the footage. Meanwhile, inside the Reyes household, the situation had become critical. Jason sat at the control deck in the basement, a chamber cloaked from satellite detection, hidden beneath a hydraulic floor plate in the living room. Streams of code from an alien dialect danced across holographic panels, overlapping with biometric scans of Karen's property. Their fears were confirmed. The signal sent by the buried relay had triggered a ping to an orbiting satellite, not one of Earth's. The beacon's been dormant for over 5 decades, Alina said, pacing. It was meant to stay silent, unless the containment breached. Jason turned toward her. The grid she tapped into was wired into the relay's failsafe. She didn't just trip a local alert, she activated the outbound beacon. We have 17 hours before orbital alignment completes. And then they'll come, Eva whispered, entering with Nico. We saw the archive footage. We know what happened last time. Jason glanced at his daughter, then his son. They were young. Technically only 16, but genetically enhanced. Born into the agency's experimental hybrid program. Smart, fast, and con. She didn't know that, below her feet, the containment barrier beneath Willow Heights was beginning to falter. The alien transmitter had fully awakened. From a single pulse buried deep in Earth's crust, tendrils of energy extended outward. Invisible to humans. But broadcasting a signal across star systems, Jason and Alina stood over the core in the hidden basement, hands on the biometric activators. It was time. They weren't just agents now, they were guardians holding the line against an interstellar threat that had just been reawakened by a nosy, rule-obsessed neighbor. Karen had unknowingly kicked the hornet's nest. The question was no longer if something was coming, but how much time they had left. The signal had traveled farther, and faster than they'd feared. By the time Jason received confirmation from orbital surveillance, it was already too late. To jam it, the beacon buried beneath Willow Heights had transmitted a clean frequency. One that hadn't been used since 1972, during the last classified alien incursion. That transmission had drawn a scouting vessel that cost 43 civilian lives and wiped an entire rural town off the map. This time, the frequency was stronger, sharper, a clear invitation. Jason stared at the hovering projection above the core interface. The ship, enormous and angular, was now visible in the outer edge of Earth's orbit. It hadn't arrived by chance, it had responded. Its vector was locked. Its trajectory directly above Willow Heights. They're back, Alina whispered. And this time, they're not scouting, they're harvesting. Jason clenched his jaw. He turned to his children. Prep the decoy emitters. Deploy a static field above the neighborhood. No one gets in or out unless we control the exit nodes. Even Nico, full lockdown mode now. Above ground, the quiet streets of Willow Heights remained undisturbed, bathed in moonlight. Sprinklers ticked on. Porch lights flickered in timed harmony. It looked peaceful. Normal? It was a lie. Karen, still sleepless and paranoid, stared out from her attic window. She noticed it first. The way the stars above the Reyes house seemed to shimmer, as if something massive were cloaked in the sky. Her breath caught in her throat. Then, another anomaly. A soft humming noise, like 1,000 tuning forks vibrating deep beneath her feet. Her chandelier trembled slightly. Static crackled from her baby monitor, even though she didn't have a baby. What the hell? She whispered. The Reyes house came alive with low pulses of blue light, invisible to the untrained eye, but unmistakable to Karen, whose paranoia had made her unusually perceptive. The garage door split open, not upward, but into 4 mechanical sections that folded like origami, revealing a chamber far too large for the home's footprint. From it emerged a floating sphere of light and metal, a drone, scanning the perimeter with beams that left no shadow. Karen grabbed her camera and began filming. She didn't care if anyone called her crazy. She knew what she saw. This wasn't a neighborhood squabble anymore. It was bigger. It's unfathomable. She didn't realize she had already been detected. Jason's voice echoed in the command interface. Karen's attic camera is still rolling. Shut her feed down now. Wait, Alina said. I have a better idea. Back in Karen's attic, her laptop screen suddenly changed. Her camera feed cut out, replaced by a black screen with a single line of glowing green text. You're in over your head. Walk away. Karen froze. The cursor blinked once, twice, then deleted the message. The screen returned to normal. She stared, heart pounding, but before she could act, all of her equipment went dead. Every light in her home flickered out. Even her phone powered down. Karen was plunged into silence. Across the neighborhood, the Reyes family deployed containment protocols. Dozens of drones ascended into the sky, forming a net of crackling blue light above Willow Heights. The field shimmered once, then snapped into place like a dome. From above, a ship broke cloak, dark, silent, and impossible to fully comprehend in shape. The alien vessel hovered miles above the neighborhood, unseen by radar or satellite due to Rhea's jamming field. Inside, something ancient stirred. Harvesters, biomechanical organisms designed to extract DNA. Signatures for replication prepared for descent. Jason keyed in a security override. Phase 2 initiated, he said. Defense net active. Temporal shielding engaged. The children were ready. Alina armed the containment drones. Their home transformed completely. Furniture collapsed into walls. Floors shifted to reveal weapon stations and control panels. Their suburban facade peeled away, revealing a military-grade defense hub. The Reyes family had prepared for this their whole lives. The question was, would it be enough? The sky tore open in silence. To the untrained eye, nothing seemed different above Willow Heights. But for those with enhanced perception or alien-born tech, everything had changed. The cloaked vessel hovering miles above had begun its descent. Slowly, methodically, the ship shed its invisibility in layered pulses, like a ripple across water. The Reyes family watched from their transformed living room, now more command bridge than home. Inside the vessel, harvesters stirred. Each one was a fusion of synthetic and organic material, programmed with a single purpose: extract biological intelligence and leave no trace. They'd done it to other planets long forgotten. Earth, long ago, had warded them off. But that memory had faded. The beacon had reawakened interest. And now, humanity's shield rested on one disguised family living in the heart of suburban America. Jason stood before the interface console, his voice calm. Engage the magneto-pulse cannons. Cloak modulation at 35%. Let them see just enough to fear what's waiting. Lena and the twins moved with mechanical precision. Ava's hands danced across her wrist, holla, deploying false terrain images to scramble the alien vessel's targeting systems. Nico synchronized the home's defense array with auxiliary systems. Hidden across 3 other properties, each vacant house in the neighborhood, a disguised weapons platform controlled remotely, but they weren't alone in the fight. As the Reyes family launched into defense mode, Karen stood trembling in her hallway. Phone dead, power out, unsure if she was losing her mind or witnessing something unimaginable. Her last camera, the one hidden in her backyard planter, had captured only a flicker of the descending ship before every feed went dark. And then her TV unplugged flickered to life. A face appeared, but not human. It was made of shifting, light and fractal patterns, staring directly at her. You were warned, a synthetic voice said. Now you will observe, she screamed. Outside, the first harvester landed. It moved like a shadow come to life, 6-limbed gliding just above the ground, its surface absorbing light as it scanned the area. It floated past the neighbor's rose bushes, bypassed a sleeping cat, and zeroed in on the Reyes household. Jason was waiting. The front yard lit up as a trap sprung, an electromagnetic tether snapped outward, snaring the harvester in midair. The creature hissed in frequencies above hearing range, its body writhing as it struggled against the field. Then, Alina released a phase disruptor beam from their roof turret. The harvester exploded silently, its fragments dissolving before touching. The grass. 2 more landed. Jason activated defense drones. Twin blurs shot from hidden hatches in the street gutters, slicing through the air like hornets. They struck the second harvester mid-dive, wrapping it in a containment web before dragging it underground into a stasis chamber, inside the Reyes command center. Red lights pulsed. We can't hold them all off, Alina said. Is preparing to open a full breach. Jason nodded. Then we do what we were trained for. He turned to Eva and Nico. Initiate the final protocol. Erase the house. Erase everything. Karen, watching from her window, saw something she would never forget. Rhea's home shimmered, then began to fade, not burn, not collapse, but literally vanish. The structure dissolved pixel by pixel, until nothing remained but an empty lawn and a silent street. A moment later, a burst of light shot from the center of the neighborhood, pure, blinding, and silent. It struck the vessel above. The ship convulsed, warped inward, then blinked out of existence like it had never been there. All went quiet. The next morning, Willow Heights was calm. No one remembered a thing. Government cleanup teams had already scrubbed memories, doctored security footage, and planted new renovation notices. The HOA office was conveniently under maintenance. Karen was institutionalized. With delusional paranoia, a new family moved into the empty house at 1437 Delaney Drive. They smiled and watched. A new cover had begun.